Hey, everybody. Welcome to What's Happening Central Oregon. I'm your host, John Crom. I'm going to be running this show solo today. Shannon's out sick. And so here we go. This is the kind of podcast talking about everything Central Oregon, what's happening here in the area, from economic development, business news. You got it. It's here. If you want to know about it, it's here. We're going to be talking about all kinds of things today. So we'll go ahead and jump right in. First off, the stories that we're going to talk about today. Well, first off, sorry, if you are listening, wherever you're listening to, whatever podcast platform you're listening to, or if you're on YouTube, go ahead and throw it into the chat where you are watching from. Or if you're watching this later on the replay, throw that in the chat. Where are you watching from? We'd like to know where our audience is and where they're based out of. So thanks for that. And then, again, at any point during the episode, if there's something that you want to know about a little bit more in detail, or if there's maybe a development, every single episode, we like to talk about a new development coming to town, just to kind of let everybody know what's going on. So if you're driving out, on the highway and you see some dirt moving around, you're like, I wonder what's going to go on over there. I wonder what that's going to be. That's what we try to cover, at least one development per episode, in addition to all the rest of the news we're talking about. So if there's something that you see out and about, let us know where it is and what you want to know about it, where it is, and we'll figure it out. We'll do the research and let you know what that development is going to be. So stories for today, we're going to cover today. We've got a lot of stuff we're going to go into. We're going to be talking about basically the real estate numbers for January. And those guys have kind of spiked in both Bend and Redmond. We're going to be talking about the effort for a new Mirror Pond Fish Dam passage ladder for trout to get up the river there. We're going to be talking about the Deschutes County is looking to, change the way they handle short-term rentals, which will be really interesting to see what that is all about. City Council grapples with SDCs in the city of Sisters. They're thinking about changing their system development charges. We'll talk about that, as well as granting a UGB expansion, an expedited expansion on some land that they're trying to get into their UGB. We'll talk about that. And then if we have time, we'll talk a little bit about a new bill that is being proposed, the SHRED Act or SHRED bill, trying to keep Mount Bachelor ticket lift fees, keep some of that revenue here locally for redistribution here in the local area. And then finally, we'll talk about our breaking development of the week. I finally have a fun little intro video for that. I guess if you're listening, you're not going to understand what I'm talking about. But let's go ahead and jump into our first story here. Let me pull it up. I should probably share the screen. Entire screen, and go. Redmond Bend home prices spike in January. This is from Central Oregon Daily News. Now, this is funny because this really isn't any news to me. We are in real estate. We are one of the top real estate groups in Bend. So median home price sold in Bend and Redmond in January saw a significant boost after staying steady for a couple of months. So it was 700 in the median sales price was 700 in December and in November, and then jumped to 735 in January. Now, this report, the Beacon report right here, actually, this comes out every single month. We look at this every single month. It's actually what we base our stats on. And you can see right here, it was 700, 735. They put the title on there to kind of be like, oh, wow, prices spiked. But I mean, if you look at it, it was 800 in October. That is a huge spike from 714 in September. Then it came back down to 700 for a couple of months. So if you're looking right in here, in general, we've been very, very flat over the last number of years. The interest rates have really caused everything to just kind of mellow out and flatline. In fact, that's an interesting stat in its own right, but I'm going to go ahead and pull something up over here. This is the sales price over the last 5 years, average and median, very, very similar there, right? But what's interesting is the number of sold homes. If you look that over the last 5 years, look at that drop off. It's been a significant drop off. This was that big spike when post-COVID, when interest rates were in the threes and sometimes the high twos. Everybody bought a house. It was free money. And then the interest rates started going up and the number of sales started declining. So right now, the last year and a half, almost 2 years here. 2 years here has been very, this is a number of homes sold. There just hasn't been very many. And in fact, we're getting ready to launch a market update on Thursday in which we kind of talk about some of this stuff, and, where the market's headed in the future. So we'll kind of see how that shakes out. Be sure to tune into that video. It's dropping Thursday at 4:30 for the market update on the YouTube channel. So just to touch on this a little more, we've got days on market. Days on market were crashing during the big thing, and now they're on the rebound. It's getting longer and longer to sell a house, taking longer and longer to sell homes. That's because the market in general has been slowing down. Again, tune into the market update video on Thursday to figure out where that's going to be going moving forward. So back to the article here, really they're just talking about how what the stats are, and they do this a lot. This is something they do a lot every single month when the Beacon report comes out. The local news groups jump on and then we're like, hey, this happened. And, it didn't seem like it was super newsworthy. The sales price has gone up a little bit. But if you look at the whole aggregate of the last couple of years, it's been pretty mellow, pretty flatlined. We're not really seeing a lot of growth. And we're certainly seeing much, much, much fewer transactions actually happen. So that's kind of what that looks like. Let's go ahead and move on to our next story. This one's kind of interesting. And, we had some stories lined up here that, I would rather have a conversation with Shannon here about it. So we saved some of those. This is one that's like, I could probably talk on my own. Funding has been secured for Mirror Pond Dam Fish Passage design phase. So, Mirror Pond there is dammed up by a hydroelectric dam, and it actually still creates energy to this day. So if you've seen it, you know what we're talking about. Now, it says for more than a century, the Mirror Pond Dam in downtown Bend has blocked fish migration in the Deschutes River. So to be clear, fish do migrate. Spawning season, they like to go upstream. They like to find habitable, stuff for spawning and stuff like that. But at the same time, it's not quite as big a deal for like ocean run fish, right? Like salmon and steelhead, they go all the way upstream. They go sometimes hundreds of miles upstream from the ocean, upstream, up freshwater rivers to spawn. Trout, not so much. So this is, in my opinion, this is a little silly. Would it be nice for fish to, be able to migrate to better spawning grounds? Yes. Would it be better for their habitat overall? Probably yes. But I mean, they said they've already secured $409,000 simply for the engineering and design phase of this new fish ladder that they want to build here. We've talked about a few other things that the city of Bend and that the area likes to do. They like to spend money on things that that maybe they don't need to spend so much money on. So another thing that also hasn't come about is the dredging of Mirror Pond. I mean, Mirror Pond is full, absolutely full of sediment that is backed up to that dam over the years. That's another thing that needs to change. And that's something that I'm sure we will be hearing about again. I mean, that's something that comes up every few years. Should be dredged Mirror Pond. And so it's just kind of interesting. We've got the fish ladder coming. I don't know that that's a super big thing that we need to be worried about. If there were steelhead and salmon, kind of migrating fish that needed to get up through there, that I think is very important. I'm a big fisherman myself, huge, love fishing, love fly fishing, fish all over the Central Oregon area. And so it's just one of those things that's kind of interesting that this is something that they're putting a lot of emphasis on right now, is making sure they take care of that. This is actually an area right here. This is the spillway where they're creating power from that hydroelectric dam. I've actually fished right here before, and there's fish here. It's one of the cool things I don't know a lot of people know about here in Bend. You can go fish anywhere in town and catch fish, like anywhere. You can drop right in at Mirror Pond. In fact, when you're walking on the walkway there, you can see fish. Like, I've got polarized glasses, and I'm kind of like I said, I'm a big fisherman. I'm a big nut about this. You can just see fish right there hanging out in the water. So I love that, the fish environment is really strong. By the way, I have just got to say this. If you're seeing these ads over here, I have turned off all sort of tracking. Google is not telling me that I need to get my body toned with a chair workout at any age, whatever this is. That's just whoever they are. They're just doing that. Free advertising for them. That has nothing to do with my search history. All right. Fish weigh over fish ladder. They're going to try to make it a natural looking fish ladder because that's what they do. Similar to the spillway at the Whitewater Park. So a series of small pools, because they like making things look nice. All right, let's move on. Next thing here, Deschutes County to craft short-term rental licensing program amid a slowing market. This is kind of interesting. This one to me is kind of interesting. So this article is about STRs in the county. Now, if you're familiar, we're actually going to come up with a video on this pretty soon, kind of recapping where we're at with STRs, short-term rentals, Airbnbs, Verbos, stuff like that. But also, where am I here? Let's go back to here. But also, it's kind of interesting because the city of Bend has regulations. The county doesn't. So there's a couple of stats in here that I found were really, really interesting. In fact, let's see here. It says visitors spent $990 million in Deschutes County in 2022. Visitors, according to state tourism data, an estimated $392 million of that, or about 40%, was spent on accommodations, which includes short-term rentals. Now, the short-term rentals, the whole transient room lodging tax is one of the ways that the county kind of makes revenue. Let's see, short-term, and then that short-term rental occupancy revenue and demand have dwindled year over year between November of 2021 and November of 2023. I can testify. We've got short-term rentals. They are down over the last couple of years. And, it just kind of seems like there was a big bump post-COVID. Everybody was traveling and rates went up and stuff like that. However, that's calmed down a bunch now. And so short-term rental fees feed the local economy in the form of transient lodging taxes, which fund tourism efforts, the sheriff's office, the Deschutes County Fair and Expo Center, and other general services. Short-term rental owners pay an 8% in transient lodging taxes per stay. This equates from July 21st of 2022 to June 30th of 2023. Visit Central Oregon collected more than $12.5 million in transient lodging tax revenue from short-term rentals in unincorporated Deschutes County. Well, that's interesting. That's actually not even a city. That's county. That's just county revenue that came in. And that was down from about $13 million from the year prior. Here's another thing that I thought was really interesting, and I'm going to get into why this is all relevant here in just a second, but let's see, where is it? So short-term rentals account for roughly 9% of unincorporated Deschutes County housing stock. 9%. That's basically 1 in 10 homes in Deschutes County is a short-term rental, which is crazy high. In comparison, short-term rentals make up only 2% of Bend's total housing stock. So much, much less, right? And of the more than 3,200 short-term based rentals in Deschutes County, LaPine, Redmond Sisters, around 74% are located in destination resorts. So you're thinking Black Butte Ranch, Sun River is a big one. There's a ton in Sun River. Those are all what we're talking about when we talk about that 9%. Okay. So here's the thing. 35 to 40% of Sun River's 4,200 properties are short-term rentals. That's a lot. That's almost half. So here's what they want to do. There's a lot of short-term rentals out there. The industry is down overall. This article goes into how the industry is down. There's a lot of them everywhere. What I don't really understand is now they're trying to figure out, and you got to understand, like nationwide, there's been a big crackdown on short-term rentals, massive crackdown. Every major city that has short-term rentals, you can't really do that anymore. we're fortunate in Bend that there's been kind of some grandfathered in laws where, like, as long as you already have one, you're safe, but you can't. There aren't more that are available. Again, we're going to break down a video on this in a little bit here, but so what the county's doing is like, look, it's kind of been a free for all in the county forever. You could just kind of do whatever you wanted. All you had to do was basically sign up and have a business license that said you were doing this, so that they could collect the transient room tax lodging, transient room tax. So now the county is looking in, exploring options for making this maybe a little more official. They have not said anything about any sort of restrictions on who can and cannot have a short-term rental. But some of the things that they are looking at, imposing on short-term rentals include wastewater system restrictions and limits on the number of people who can stay in a short-term rental, because if you're in the county, you're on a septic. They don't want people, overflowing people's septics. Fire safety standards and restrictions on fire pits and rings. Again, high fire hazard zone. So they want to make sure that they're keeping people safe in that regard. An available property manager, not on site, but just somebody who's available for the property 24/7. Land use and zoning permitting that allows short-term rentals in zones that allow single-family and multifamily residences. That's interesting. Making sure it's permitted for single family. So maybe if you or just farmland, you can't just have somebody out there in a tent, I guess. I'm not really sure. Mandatory garbage services. And then obviously certificate of authorization through a transient lodging tax number. That's kind of what we talked about before. It's kind of already in place. Owners might have to notify neighbors within a certain distance of their short-term rental and offer contact information for property managers, proof of insurance from the short-term rental owner, and quiet hours, which could apply from 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. So the county's looking at this. I think this is kind of interesting. It doesn't seem as though they are going to look to fully restrict people from being able to do this. They are just going to tack on some of these safety measures and accountability kind of tracking measures. So hopefully this doesn't turn into one of those things where, they're genuinely trying to get rid of STRs. Again, it's a double-edged sword because they rely on the tax revenue that comes in from these short-term rentals. The same thing in Bend. They've restricted them. They also restrict the tax base for Visit Bend, for the things that these transient taxes, room tax, go to. So especially since the industry is down right now, less money is coming in. So, follow the money. We'll see how it goes. We'll see what this turns into. I find this very interesting. I hope this doesn't turn into one of those things where, they're going to want to put some serious restrictions on here and limit the number that can even be. However, I will also say that 9% is a lot. And the other thing that we've noticed is in Sun River, if you're curious, Sun River usually rates for STRs are a little bit less than you would even find in Bend. And there's usually more, kind of vacancy in Sun River. So we've had people that, are buying a house or building a house, and it's even summertime, and, you can't find a rental anywhere, especially short term. If you're extended by a week or two, or maybe a month, you can usually find something in Sun River. So, all right, now let's go down and talk about what's going on in Sisters. So, hang on, I'll go back to here. Hang on with me. Oh, okay. Let's see. Wondering how the price tag for building in your community could skyrocket. Sisters, City Council showdown over system development charges might just rewrite the rules on housing. So this is in tandem. This article here is in tandem with another one that I found talking about. This is regarding STRs, but there's another one regarding the UGB and Sisters. They're trying to expand that as well. So let's go ahead and pull it up here. Okay. City Council grapples with SDCs and housing. So basically this is talking about how, SDCs are expensive. They're an expense on a house, a new construction home. So when a new home is built, there's usually SDCs. This is for system development charges. And this is a tax basically on the builder, which then forwards it on to the buyer of the house, that basically goes to the city for the development of the infrastructure. So sewer, roads, power, the systems that are being developed, right? So this is something that happens, in all the communities. Bend's got its own STCs, but these things go to other things too. Like in Bend, a large portion of the STCs go to Parks and Rec, fire, police, stuff like that. So here in Bend, they are trying to figure out, how to. Some communities have deferrals on their STCs if you're building, say, low income housing, and you can kind of defer the STCs for later on. And Sisters doesn't have anything like that going on. So that's what they're asking for. Builders are asking for a deferral on the STCs so that they can, actually get some affordable housing up and running and going. It's become, it's actually one of the stats they have in here. 2/3 of the workforce in Sisters commute to Sisters. They don't even live in Sisters, which is kind of crazy. The lack of workforce housing is likely why 2/3 of Sisters, 1,945 workers commute. So it's one of those interesting things where, Sisters is kind of expensive. It's a tiny little town, and a lot of people would like to live in a community like that, a nice, small, cute community like Sisters. Shannon's from Sisters, and we love it there. Every time we go and we visit, kind of the parents and, the grandparents, we just love Sisters. It's a great community. It's very small, very quaint, and a lot of people want to move there. The problem is there's not a lot of homes there. The homes that come on the market are few and far between. So if you're looking for a house in Sisters, it's not like there's a lot of options. And because there's not a lot of options, there's generally a higher demand. So when things go on the market in Sisters, they tend to sell quicker, which again drives up demand, which drives up home prices. So Sisters is kind of a spendy place to live. It's in between Bend and Redmond as far as the price. And then some properties in particular are considerably more expensive. So this is just an article talking about how they're trying to figure out how to fill the deficit of workforce housing. And SDCs can be expensive. They can add, one of the things here said it can add anywhere from, what did it say? It was a really staggering number. $13,000 for a single family project, up to $300,000 or more for a large effort such as a multi-family housing project. So depending on the size of the housing project would determine how much STCs are tacked on. So if you're going to buy a house and it's a $400,000 house, it could be a $500,000 house just because of the STCs. Now that's a huge exaggeration. I don't think there's $100,000 in STCs, but $13,000, which is an expense, which makes things more expensive. All right. That's something that the city of Sisters is working on, but it's actually kind of, like I said, in tandem with the next story that I wanted to talk to right here. And this is the UGB expansion. Now, we've talked about this a little bit before. I did a video a few weeks ago on how UGBs work. They're supposed to have 20 years of developable land within the city limits when they do their expansion on the UGB. Sisters is looking for an expedited decision to grab a new chunk of land and bring it into the UGB. So the city, the UGB steering committee unanimously agreed to ask the city of Sisters to send a letter to Deschutes County commissioners to expedite a rezoning decision regarding 58.5 acres north and east of Sisters High School. Why do they want that? Good question. Well, most of these cities here locally are looking for more land to build homes on. There's a big demand to come into town. They're looking for more land. And this particular chunk of land just happens to be kind of already set up to be built. So the land is, what is it? It's called Mackenzie Meadows. Mackenzie Meadows, to be considered as part of the urban growth boundary expansion, now under consideration. The UGB steering committee opted unanimously to recommend to the city council to approve progress on the UGB expansion concept 1 or 5, and I'm not sure what that means, with the possibility of including the Mackenzie Meadows Village property in either case. So there's a couple of different options, and they want this one in either way. So I was curious as to what that was. So we're just going to go ahead and look at it right now. Let's look at sisters. Boom. Oh, we're already here. I wanted to do the cool thing where the map like zoomed into it. So here's where we're at right now. This is Sisters right here. Cute little downtown area. Right over here, we've got Sisters High School. And this is actually Mackenzie Meadows. This is a Hayden Homes development. I believe they've built all of this. And there's a lot of homes in here. This is really great. And the area that they want to annex is right here, straight north. You can almost see there's a square. It's basically like right here. This is what they want to annex in. This is another 58 acres. And even this up here, going up to this corner of this house right here, this is another chunk of land that is also developable, that is owned by Mackenzie Meadows property. Now, Mackenzie Meadows property, it doesn't state this, and I can't find this anywhere for sure, but I'm like 99% sure this is owned by Hayden Homes. This is probably one of their kind of DBA things. They're calling it something else. So this is a Hayden Homes property that they were going to eventually develop into more homes. And again, the more homes they can build, the more they can keep the prices down and increase that supply so that the demand calms down a little bit. All this stuff here next to the highway is going to be Deschutes National Forest land. And then all of this over here to this side is actually, I had to look it up, it's actually owned by the sister school district. So there's a lot of land right here. And then we zoom out a little bit even further just for fun. And this is the community of Tollgate. So this is going to almost act as a bridge. But again, Hayden's going to pack in. This is a entry-level builder. This is a lot of first-time home buyers here in this neighborhood. And that's what we need more of. We need more workforce housing, first-time home buyers, entry-level housing. So hopefully the sisters will be able to approve that, or the county and the state will be able to approve that. They're the ones who approve the UGB expansion. So if we can get, SDCs down, if we can get some more land annexed into the city, it could be a really good thing for sisters with respect to building more homes that people can buy, actually afford to live in and purchase. All right. That's what's going on in Sisters right now. Let's see where we're at in time. Maybe we'll skip today. We're going to get to the, let's get to I got a new thing, guys. Check this out. I'm going to play this real quick. This is our development of the week. I hope you can hear this. I hope my voice is still coming over. This is development of the week. And every week we want to pick a development. Like I said before in the opening of this episode, we want to pick a development where you're driving around, you see a chunk of land moving around, you're going, what's going on over there? There's dump trucks, there's bulldozers, and they're moving dirt, or maybe they're building houses. Maybe we've already talked about it. We're going to revisit it so that you know what's coming to the area. This is a new neighborhood, and we've talked a lot about affordable housing recently. It's a big deal. We just talked about it in Sisters. We talked about it in the episode past in Bend with the Calera Ranch coming to the area. There's a lot of emphasis right now on affordable housing here in Central Oregon in the local Central Oregon area. So this, as you're heading out of town on Highway 20 heading east out towards Burns, we were actually driving out there just a couple of days ago. We had to go to McCall, Idaho for one of my son's hockey tournaments in a snowstorm. And on the way out of town, just past like Worthy Brewing and stuff, as you're finally heading outside of town, on the right-hand side, there's a big old chunk of dirt, and they're moving stuff around. Now, I kind of already knew what this was, but it was interesting. I thought it was a good thing to bring up to everybody here because we've been having this talk on affordable housing. It is going to be a new neighborhood. It's going to be called Parkside Place. And I believe it's another Hayden Homes development. So it is coming in, and this is actually an old article talking about the Bend Planning Commission unanimously approved recommendations to the City Council on a housing development card called Parkside Place, a concept aimed at increasing affordable housing opportunities. So this is 35 acres. It's going to be, what is it going to see? 346 units of housing, and 109 of them, and 139 of them will be considered affordable. Basically making up affordable for households making up 80% of the Bend area's median income, which is roughly $72,000 a year. That's a household making $72,000 a year should be able to afford at least about 139 of these units. In order to purchase a home, if you qualify for affordable housing in Bend, traditionally you'd be paying about $400,000 for a home, which compares very well to the median home price in the mid-7, which compares very well to, I don't know how they wrote this. Point is, our median and average sales prices in the 700s. We established that at the very beginning of the show, and they're hoping to have some of these homes in the $400,000 range, which would be really, really huge. The good news about this, unlike all of the other properties that we've talked about recently, with respect to affordable housing and its viability for being built soon, a lot of like Stevens Ranch and a lot of these other places, it's going to be years. Caldera Ranch in particular, it's going to be years before they're even pushing dirt around. This is happening right now. They're going to have homes. I would guess they'll have homes coming up out of the ground this summer, which is going to be great. So this will be a really good, way to get some of that affordable housing units going right away. There's also going to be almost 100 rentals in there. So we'll have some rentals coming in, providing more housing for workforce people as well. All right. Tell me, is there development? Is there a chunk of dirt that you see? It's just sitting there that you want to know about. We want to know what you want to know about. It's really easy for us to look up this stuff. This is kind of what we do. So if there's a development out there that you want to know about what's going on, let us know in the chat. Drop us a line, email us, whatever you want to do. Our contact information is here. Let us know, and we will put it on the show and keep you up to date to what's going on. Here, you know what? Because I didn't do this already, I'm going to go ahead and do this as well. Let me go back to here, and let's go to Bend, and I'll pull up that property just so you can see what we're talking about. Ooh, maybe it's not going to like that. Refresh page. Interesting. I like doing it this way because you don't see all my Google Maps stuff. Yep, right here. This square right here is going to be Parkside Place. That looks like a lot bigger than 35 acres, but apparently that's what it is. Anyway, housing coming to this area right here. It's going to be very interesting. It's going to be nice to have some more options here. So cool. I think that's it, guys. Hey, thanks so much for watching. We hit our 30-minute mark. And so don't worry, we'll get Shannon all better 100%. She'll be joining us on the next show. We'll have some really interesting conversations about some new things that are going to be happening. Might fire you up a bit. So I'm excited about the next episode that we're going to do in 2 weeks. We'll see you 2 weeks from now on Tuesday, whatever the next Tuesday is. 2 Tuesdays from now, we'll see you then. Thanks for watching. We'll see you.